Here we go. Hi, everyone. Okay, so my name is Lindsay Smith. I am one of the upper year advisors in engineering. And can I get you to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Khalid Lagazar. I'm a Canada Research Teacher and a professor at the University, Ontario Tech University, especially in the software engineering program. I joined actually Ontario Tech from the US, so I had a little bit of experience in the US before I joined here. So I graduated from Queens, so it was my home. But I left Canada for a couple of years to the US. I started working at Carnegie Mellon for a couple of years, and then I joined the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, in Louisiana. And then after a couple of years, my family decided that it's not the good environment for them, so they wanted to come back. So we decided to come back at this time, and I did join Ontario Tech early 2018. Since then, I've been with the university, and I did a lot of things here in terms of the research around IoT.
Thank you so much. So welcome. I saw a few more people joining us while we were just introducing ourselves. So this is the IoT Internet of Things a little information night. So what's going to happen tonight is Dr. Algazar is just going to give you some information that I think a lot of you have been wondering, why IoT? Why should I pick that over software? So I was telling Dr. Algazar a couple questions I was getting from students. So he's just going to give you a little bit of information about that. And then my piece after that session is done is I'm actually going to show you how to specialize and talk a little bit about the GPA requirements. I'm just going to pass it over to Dr. Alcazar for now, and then I'll step back in. Thank you.
Good, thank you, Lindsay. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen, and I think
I'll make you a co-host right now.
What is that?
I'm just making you a co-host. There you go. You should be able to share. My apologies.
Okay, good. So I think since you just made me a co-host, I need to log out and log in again because of this issue. So allow me just to log off for a second, and I think once I log off, just. Privacy. I need to change the privacy settings as well. So give me privacy settings and the screen recording. Okay, just a few things I have to do because of this change. So I have to log off and come back again if you don't mind, okay?
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Isn't technology the greatest? Hopefully when he comes back, that'll work. Jessica?
While we're waiting, I might as well ask my question. So do we have to register for this specialization now if we're going on internship for a year? So like in my case, like I'm not going to be taking school the 2022-2023 term. Do I still have time before I have to do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So typically we ask students to specialize, so actually fill out that form and specialize in the winter of their third year. If you are going on the co-op, it's not a huge deal. You're right. You really could do it when you come back. So when you finish that co-op, you could specialize at that point. The messaging I was giving yesterday was it's important to, if you're going to specialize, decide before you do capstone, because if you're going to specialize, you're going to want to be in like an IoT group.
Right.
Yeah, so technically you're okay.
Cool, thanks.
Well, Dr. Algazar is about to get started, I'm just going to put the link in and I will share it again and talk about it, but just in case if someone has to go, the link for it. But I will pass it over.
Sure, thank you so much, Lindsay. So I'm not going to take a lot of time. I just wanted to give you a little bit of some background about the IT in general, and then we can open the floor for any questions that you want to do. So maybe 10, 15 minutes, less than that, I think. Give you a little bit of introduction, and then we can answer any questions that you guys have in mind. So I'm going to begin by introducing what IoT is. Before that, I wanted to just let you know, because I think all of you have been seeing this stuff before is what is software engineering and why it's an entire tech. A lot of you does not know how well ranked UIT in terms of the world ranking. So now I think if you look into US News, we are ranked number 3 province-wide, and we are number 9 national on the national level. So we are only third to U of T and Waterloo. So Waterloo first, U of T, and then we are third in the rank for engineering across the province. This gives you a point of pride because you are part of this university, and especially in software engineering, we have a lot of good professors that are connected to the industry, and all of the project that we do in classrooms and as well as in our research labs is part of our classroom practice. So we do integrate all the things we do in industry with the classroom, so that you guys have some kind of hands-on related to what you will be doing after graduations. So let's begin with the introduction of IoT. I think a lot of you may be wondering what is IoT and what does the term mean in terms of the software engineering. This is a question you can have a lot of answers online. So if you look online, if you Google the term IoT, you have maybe a number of answers that is equivalent to the number of devices that you can see connected to the internet. But in general, what I can say about the definition is it is a conceptual framework that connects networks of physical devices or physical objects, whatever you call it, from different form factors, from the device that you can put on your hand, on your wrist band to measure the heart rate, to the fridge that can tell you if you are running low in certain items, grocery items, to the industrial settings where a good machinery that has a lot of jobs can be measured using sensors that tell you how much vibrations is in the machine and whether the machine needs any kind of maintenance beforehand. So a lot of these things can connect to each other and can talk to each other without the intervention of human being or even applications or software. That these kind of data exchange allow for different layers of analysis that you can build on top of the applications, so people can make decisions in real time. So in terms of the evolution of IoT, as you can see from this figure here, you see that it started with a dream of collecting data in real time, and these devices connected to each other can sense and exchange data that can be analyzed through complex data analysis techniques. These techniques can produce unique values and add-on services to enrich our life and make us live better in terms of the services, the kind of service that we can get from these devices. But also, you can realize that we are half through this dream. So we're still in the process of getting through to the end goal of the dream by having the unique value that we can generate from the IoT. So over that, as we make our way through, we can realize that the real value from IoT comes from the convergence of intelligent sensing and real-time data analytics. So what does that mean? So we know that IoT connects or will be connecting billions of devices to the internet. And these devices collect a wide range of real-time data, varying in scale, speed, and volume, which we call big data. This data gets collected and pre-processed or cleaned up somehow and stored in the cloud. And one major trend that we started to see is the implementation of AI to transform this data into actions. These actions can help organizations or business enterprises or even individuals to make decisions in real time. And one simple example that I can see, I'm sure all of you have been experiencing this, is the familiarity with the driving direction that we can get from our phones. So we can put a destination and you can receive directions right away from your phone into how to go from where you are into to the destinations. So it comes with no surprise that IoT has evolved from simply being a connectivity option to an extensive business transformation strategy, which is gradually opening new opportunities in many fields, such as home automations, healthcare, smart cities, connected cars, supply chain, intelligent transportations, industrial IoT, and you can name it. A lot of these domains has applications that are related to intelligent sensing and data analytics. That said, to accomplish the value added of IoT, one would disagree that IoT needs to take advantage of the convergence of real-time data analytics. However, the trend that we see is that there is a rising trend from using data analytics into the domain of applications, and we have a lot of these examples that we can also mention. So starting from making real-time decisions, such as when can I get my machine into maintenance mode before my factory goes into maybe a hold on, how can I predict the maintenance for these machines so that I can make a predictive maintenance schedule before I make any kind of mistakes. Other processes, such as the optimizations and automations of the processes, so the pipeline of manufacture process, such as if you wanted to detect a defect or some kind of in the process of manufacturing items, how you can separate items that are not good enough to be shipped to customers, for example. We can also talk about improved efficiency. So without the kind of sensing that we now see as part of our daily life, we cannot be more efficient in terms of handling these devices and how we can move from one step to the other step. Also, you might be also wondering about the customer experience. So, for example, if a customer wanted to buy something and you wanted to tell the customer your opinion about how good or how bad the decision is. So these, I'm sure all the customers would appreciate the input of maybe providing how many people are agreeing on that thing, or what is the overall review on how the satisfaction of other people using the same product. So a lot of these things, including asset tracking and monitoring and things that we can now access in real time using the intelligent sensing that we get from these sensors. All this is part of IoT as we put the umbrella under the hood. So I wanted to give you a little bit of an example, real life example that you can see based on these kind of techniques. So at Ontario Tech, we have some kind of sensor that are deployed around campus to monitor and analyze the traffic around the campus. So for example, at the intersection of Conlin and Simcoe, we do have, if you pass by this area, we do have cameras. If you look at the northeast side of the street of this intersection, there are cameras that we put to analyze the traffic. So what I mean by analyzing the traffic is we count how many pedestrians are crossing into different directions. We count how many cars are passing through. We classify the cars that are crossing the intersections, whether it's the trucks, minivans, small cars, or whatever it could be. Sometimes also we can determine whether a car that is violating the traffic signal, even though this is not our authority to do so. And in this area specifically, we have a red camera, but we can also, from our cameras, we can determine whether there is an overrunning, red light overrunner or some of this stuff. One of the surprising issues as well is we do have cameras on some buildings. So in the campus corner building, we do have cameras that can count how many people are jaywalking this area in between the two parts of the campus, across Conlin and as well as across Simcoe Street. So we do have two cameras, one in between Shoppers Drug Mart and Campus Corner, and we do have one on the Circuit building that looks into, because this area has a heavy traffic sometimes from the jaywalkers. People do not have the patience to wait for the traffic lights, so they cross illegally. So we wanted to know how dangerous this is. If there is a cross call about an accident, something like this, we wanted to know. So we use our cameras and our sensors to provide some kind of decision making to our local community at Ontario Tech. So I wanted to run a little bit of simple algorithm here to show you how these algorithms work. So for example, as you can see on the screen, we do have two sides of the highway. Now we're counting as the cars across each line of those two sides. We are counting the cars, and you can also see that each car has an identification or an ID. This ID could be determining whether this is a car or a truck or a minivan or something like this. So this simple algorithms using these sensors. So there are sensors that are counting these cars as they go through. So this is an example that of the stuff that we do. If I do have access to the real time, I can actually show you the camera that we put on between Conlin and Semco. We also provide access to this stuff for the city, for the Durham region, and also for our own campus community, so that they can see in real time what's going on. So in terms of the specialization that we offer at IoT, so we do that because we wanted to teach you some unique stuff. So we focus on the design and analysis of IoT systems, how you connect the devices into the cloud, and how you use the services to the cloud, how you can deal with these devices, and how you can manage the data collection and storage. We talk about the analysis. We talk about how you can develop applications or mobile applications specifically to use this kind of sensitive information. So we're talking about a unique number of courses that you can take in the fourth year as part of your specializations. Typically, those are we call it the SOFE courses, SOFE, like the 4, 6, 10, the 4, 10, 6, 0, I think. So these courses, including the design of software analysis, connecting devices into the cloud, embedded systems, and mobile applications, and also capstone projects. So we do choose the capstone projects in our specialization to be very unique, so that people can actually do stuff using hands-on experience that is related to the domain of IoT. And I'm going to show you one of those examples very soon. So here is a number of projects. These projects, maybe you can, if you click this link on the slide, you can see different projects that our students has been taken in the past. And one of those projects is a project of a smart tries. And if we can run this project, I think we need to click. So I'm going to stop presenting here for a second. I'm going to share a tab, and then we can see this tab with different projects. So stop this one. So share a tab. And this is my YouTube channel with, and then we have a lot of these things. So choose any project you wanted to see. I'm gonna give you the choice. Which project you wanted to see? Votes.
I want to see the room occupancy.
The room occupancy. Okay, this one.
So essentially what we made is a room foot traffic analysis system. It is able to keep track of the occupancy of people or just movement within a room, and we find that it has more applications than motion sensors simply because...
And by the way, this was not a capstone project. This was part of the projects in my course. It was a course project, not a capstone project. So capstone project is much bigger than this, but you will appreciate how much work this student has done.
Motion sensors are more sensitive than the actual sensors that we use. So our system consists of 2 time-of-flight sensors that are going to be embedded into door frames or in ceilings, depending if they were more powerful, connected to a board that communicates over Wi-Fi to a Raspberry Pi, which does processing on chunks of data that are sent from the board to the Pi. So the ESP, which is our time-of-flight board, will read a chunk of data, send it over to the Pi, and the Pi will then process that chunk of data all at once and determine if someone entered or exited a room. Then from the Raspberry Pi, it either uploads to a ThinkSport application or it uploads to a database. With this data, you can analyze.
So I'm going to leave that to you,
determine,
so you can watch on your own. I just want to show
occupied
you
as
the
such.
demo. So maybe we can skip a little bit to the demo itself. I'm going to give you access to these.
So it is pointing
projects.
out in two directions from the door. So it reads in one sensor, and then it reads in the other sensor, and it detects which one was stopped reading first and which one started reading first. So if you walk through, you'll notice that the occupants in here will change. So we just added one person to this room, and we removed someone from the outer room, because a person migrated from one room to the next. Ideally, you would want this on multiple doors, and within every door within a floor, every entry and exit access way. We found that if we wanted to scale it up, we would use the central database instead, and we would have a much more powerful machine than a Raspberry Pi actually doing the processing, because currently the Raspberry Pi has problems keeping up with the large chunk of data sets at once.
So you get the idea. So in general, these are, I'm just going to go back a little bit. So these are some other projects, and I'm going to copy this and give it to you guys on the chat, so you can have access to it. So through this one, you can watch any project you want. I mean, there's a lot of these projects from the previous years, and you can watch these projects. So I think with that, I'm going to stop presenting, because nothing else in my slides except for questions. So I'm going to stop presenting and open the floor for questions. Maybe Lindsay can take over, and then we can manage to answer questions.
Thank you so much. That was great. Yeah, so I just wanted to quickly review how you would apply and the requirements for that. I'm just going to share my screen. I wonder if I can bump Dr. Alcazar out if I try to share it. Okay, there we go. Okay, so 1 second here. I did share this. I'm just going to pop it in one more time in case a few other students came a little bit late. So this is actually, this is a newer way that they've changed through the registrar's office to actually apply for a specialization. So it's called change of specialization. So when you are ready, you might have heard me speaking to another student before. When you're ready and you've made your decision, this is typically done in your third year winter prior to capstone. And if any of you were in the meeting yesterday about capstone, we do like you to decide if you're going to specialize prior to that, because if you are an IoT student, you're going to want to be in a project that asks for an IoT student in it. So that's why it's really important to do this prior to your final year. So this is the change of specialization form. It's actually, it's pretty straightforward. I walked a couple students through it. So just your name, student number, the effective term that's going to pop up, your year. Let's just go down here. And then this is where you're going to actually click add specialization. And then you're going to pick the faculty that you're in, so engineering and applied science. And then you're going to notice that some things start to populate. So we'll do software and then Internet of Things. So that's it. So you can fill that out and submit it. And I'm just going to kind of like give you an idea of what happens here. So when you fill out this, I call it a mock form, but when you fill out this mock form, it actually gets sent to engineering.advising, and the advisors will go ahead, and if a student is in clear standing, which means you have a cumulative GPA of 2.0 or higher, then we are able to approve your specialization. So as long as you're in clear standing, you would apply through this form. Please just give us a couple days, especially if you're going to do it right now, where it's quite a busy time actually for us, but we will get to those and we will approve them, send them to the registrar's office, and pretty much within a few days, you'll notice it on your record. So that's pretty much it for me. I just wanted to show you how you apply and talk a little bit about those requirements. And as Dr. Alcazar said, I'm really happy to open this up to any questions and answers that you might have. And you can either put them in the chat box, which I see someone did, or you can just unmute and ask the question. So when is the deadline for this? So the deadline to apply, is that what you're referring to? I assume, yes? Okay, so there's no firm specific deadline technically, but that's what I was saying, where we really would like you to apply for it if that is what you're going to choose to do prior to your 4th year, but really prior to like applying for capstone. So for example, we have our capstone application open up till I think May 16th was that deadline. So if you could just make sure that you have specialized by then, that would be really helpful. So no real, like if you, in the end though, if you were like really unsure and 2 months later you change your mind, just email engineering.advising and let us know that's what happened, because we will be letting your capstone coordinators know which specific program you're in. So if you weren't in IoT and you switched, I would make sure that Dr. Sood knew that you switched to IoT. Does that make sense to everyone for the deadline? So there, it's not no like strict date, but we're asking just to try to do it before you apply for capstone. But I understand things happen and sometimes you need to think about it. So any other questions? Azika? You can just unmute.
So I noticed in the program map that there's one course that is not an internet of things specialization, which is the user interface, and the user interface is only in the regular stream. I haven't taken like all my 3rd year courses. I'm on a reduced course load right now, so I'm like still on the edge. But can I still take that course that is in the general stream and then apply it to capstone? Not capstone, Internet of Things.
So it's sorry, can I just, did you say it was user interface that you were interested in, but then, you know, just in case you change your mind prior to 4th year in capstone, you want to switch to software? Is that what you were saying?
There's a course called user interface, which is only in the general stream.
Yeah. So if you take that one, like prior to 4th year, because I know you're off track, so I understand what you're saying. It just so you're aware, it stays on your transcript. So whatever grade you get in that will affect your GPA. But yes, technically, if you took that and then you thought, oh, you know what, I am going to specialize and I'm going to take these more specific courses in IoT, that's fine as long as you're meeting the deadline. Does that answer your question? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, great. There was just a couple questions in the chat box. Julia, unfortunately, we were not able to record the capstone information session, but the FAQ sheet that was attached to the invite is actually really, really detailed. And I think there's going to be a lot more information coming out from Dr. Sood once advising has like figured out who is able to take capstone and who is not. So don't be too nervous if you miss the information session, because like more things will be coming out, and a lot of it was in the FAQ. So just take a peek at that first, and then you can always meet with an advisor. I think maybe it would make sense to meet with me because I was the advisor in that session. So you can book an appointment with me if you did miss it, and I can try to fill you in on a few things if you have some questions. Go to it. So as long as these are, I think, more capstone questions. So if you have capstone questions, maybe we can save that for like, you can book an appointment with me. We can talk about it because that is a bit more of a detailed question regarding capstone. So we can just go back to IoT. Any other IoT questions? Jessica?
So mine's a little bit more personalized. I'm trying to assess the value of it for me specifically. So I'm hoping to get into autonomous vehicles and more specifically like the restraint systems associated with the sensors on vehicles. I'm wondering if this has any value for me.
So Jessica, I can take this question. I think this will be very helpful for you to take the specialization, because you will learn how to deal with this kind of sensors, whether it's collecting data or analyzing the data. And we do have projects that is related to connected vehicles. So in my lab, for example, I do have 2 PhD students and 2 master students are working on autonomous vehicles and connected vehicles in a specific. So they are working on how to navigate through obstacles, and then getting these data from the sensor on board, whether it's a sensor that comes with the vehicle or added up sensors, then you can deal with that using the. You can learn about this stuff from the courses that we teach you in the 4th year. So I think it would be add a great value to your career if you take these courses.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Great question, Jessica. Any other questions? We have our expert here, Dr. Alcazar. So feel free to ask any of those questions that you've been wondering. Or do you feel all prepared to make that decision now? Okay. Dr. Alcazar, is there anything else that you can think of that would be helpful for them to know? Or do you think just if they, I mean, this
I think if so, what I always suggest to students is basically the IoT specialization is a more of a higher level of the software engineering. So anything that you will take as a software engineering, you will also learn in the IoT specializations, plus some extra courses that will help you have a better chance in the market after you graduate. So a lot of these courses that we teach is of high demand in the area as well as in the entire GTA. So we do have companies that are looking specifically for people that can handle this kind of sensing information, whether it's a bigger company like GM or smaller companies like the ones that can deal with sensors. So GM, for example, reached out to us last year to hire people that has experience with how to deal with sensors on board, so that they can give them training and they can start to hire them as part of their programs. And GM is here in Oshawa, so it's not far. I mean, I think there is a bit of an edge to students who are taking the specializations over other students that are normally in the software engineering program. But again, it's up to the students whether they like to be part of this or not, or what's their objectives of after graduations. So this is I hope this is a little bit helpful. But if you have any specific questions that we can highlight as well, that will be also great.
So there's just a few comments in the chat box. Yes, so Jessica was saying, Guju was asking, so with the number of courses, are they the same as software engineering, like 4th year? So if you're asking the amount of courses you take per term, yes. And basically, I'm going to say basically, it's a little bit more detailed than this, but instead of having those engineering electives, they swap those for different courses. And then there's one other core course that's swapped. What I did, though, to make it a little bit more clear, is I just put the link for program map. So what I would suggest to do is actually pull up the IoT program map. You can just pick the most recent one because that one hasn't changed in a bit. And you can kind of look at that compared to your software map, just like so you can see your 4th year and see how it's a little bit different. So hopefully that helps. But all good questions, everyone.
Sorry, one last question about that program map. Would we be following the 2019-2020 program map for like when we entered, or would we follow the program map for like when we chose to specialize?
Okay, so
sorry, I know you kind of said to look at the most recent one, but I want to make sure I'm getting it.
That is so fair, because all we ever do is tell students to like follow the map you start on.
Yeah.
The only reason that it's kind of okay with IoT is because that has not changed in the last few years.
That works.
So really, I always just say, oh, just grab the IoT. Like normally I would have been very particular in how I worded that. But for IoT, you can just look at, 2020 or 2021. They're the exact same. And that would be the year that you could just follow. So you can just take a peek at that basically just use that IoT map as that 4th year. That's what you're looking at, the 4.1 and 4.2. Okay. Oh, yeah.
So there's a question. Sorry, Jessica, before I forgot. So there's a question about the number of students that could be accepted to the program. Are there any limitations or not?
Oh, I apologize. Yes, I answered that one in the chat. There's no real limit. Like when I approve them, yeah, I just approve. Like I approve based on the requirements, not the seats, because they would just ensure that the seats for the courses are.
But I can also tell you from experience that the last time I had taught this specializations in my class, there was about 30 to 40 people. and I think this is a good class size in terms of the connections between the professor and the students. And by the end of the class, we all know each other by name, and we did share a little bit of experience together. So I think overall, I'm not sure if the number is still the same. This was a couple of years ago, but I think the last time was how many, Lindsay? 70, I think.
I'm not totally sure. I don't know how many were like in that one versus.
Yeah,
others.
I think last year there were 70 people split into 2 classes, I think.
There's I see just sort of 2 more questions we'll go through. So Michaela was asking Dr. Alcazar about, are the syllabi for IoT posted anywhere?
Advice for what?
The syllabi?
The
for
syllabus,
IoT
okay.
courses. I
So the
think there was-
syllabus for the IoT, I can actually send you over email. So if you can email me, I'm going to send you the syllabus of the 2 courses that we taught before. Typically, once you register into the course, you can see that on Canvas. You can register and unregister later on if you want. You can drop off. But once you put your name on, you will see this information on Canvas.
Jessica, you had your hand raised. Did you have just a follow-up question?
Yeah, just more about the course map. I just didn't want to cut off Michaela there. So I noted, like, I'm not sure why I would want to do this, but I'm considering it. So I noticed that there's 5 courses for that 4th year, first term. But if I were to do the IoT specialization, I too am interested in that UI. Would I be able to tack a 6th course onto that semester, should I so desire?
Okay, so again, just a quick reminder, like it would count towards your GPA.
Yes. Yep.
And yes, you would just have to probably pay for the course.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
how that works on the map. Okay, sounds like you pretty much know. So
I just
yes,
want to make sure that I can take a 6th course if I want to.
so like you would pay for it, that 6th course, because there's like no 6th one designated on the map, and then assuming there's no time conflicts and you have the prerequisites, yes, and then it just. I just always warn students, if they don't get the grade they really want, it is still on that transcript. We can't just magically remove it.
Oh yeah, no.
On the
No, I know.
you know?
I recognize.
I always
And
bring
also,
that up
Jessica,
all
in
the
terms
time.
of the course load, I think it's only 4 courses plus the capstone. So
Yes.
So the capstone is a fun course actually. It's not just a course that you will be overloaded with assignments and stuff like this, but it's part of the hands-on that you will enjoy actually over the semester. First one and the second one as well, because it's a continuous course.
Yeah,
So,
and I'm really looking forward to that. I'm just trying to plan
yes.
out. I'm like, oh, there's so many courses that I want to take.
Yes. Okay. Makes sense.
That's a good problem to have, I guess. You're, an eager learner. That's really good. Any other questions? Did I miss anyone's questions? I think I got them all. Going once, going twice. Well, if you think of anything, you're more than welcome to reach back out to advising. And if I don't know the answer, I can always try to find it out for you. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Dr. Alcazar, could not have done this without you. That was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lindsay, and have a good day, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for your insight, Dr. Alcazar.
Thank you, Jessica. Have a good day.
Have a good night, everyone.